The cage door slammed shut behind her. Mira, the human girl, stood alone in the dark hallway. Chains rattled on her wrists. Her bare feet were cold against the metal floor. Two tall alien guards stood behind her, their green armor glowing slightly. One of them hissed, "She won't last 5 minutes." The other laughed. "Good. Less mess to clean up." They pushed a button. The ground below Mira opened, and she fell. She landed hard on her side, the air knocked from her lungs. Dust and bones rose around her as she gasped. Her arms ached, her legs were bruised. But she didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just looked up. A massive iron gate slid shut above her. The light faded. She was alone, in the dungeon of death. Everyone in the galaxy knew this place. The Zerkai, a cruel alien race, used it for entertainment. They dropped prisoners into this dungeon for fun. Inside lived a beast so feared no creature had survived. A knight with it, a giant venomous snake nearly 40 feet long, covered in black and silver scales, with fangs that melted bone, no name, no mercy. Just called the thing below. Mira sat up slowly. Her hands shook, but her eyes stayed sharp. She knew they were watching. Up in the control room, dozens of Zerkai nobles and scientists observed her through glowing screens. One alien female spoke, "How strange. She's not crying." Another said, "Human females are weak. The beast will eat her quickly." An elder leaned forward. "No. Let's record everything. I want to see exactly how long she lasts." Back in the dungeon, Mira heard it. A soft hiss, the sound of something big, moving. She turned. From the shadows, 2 yellow eyes glowed. Then, it appeared. A massive snake, thick as a tree trunk, slid into the light. Its head rose slowly, its tongue tasting the air. It saw her. She saw it, and still, Mira didn't move. Her breathing slowed. Her eyes didn't blink. She whispered, "You're not the monster here." The snake lowered its head slightly. Its eyes studied her. Mira stayed still. Careful. Soft. "I'm not your enemy," she said. "I'm like you. Alone." The snake blinked. No attack, no hiss, just silence. Then, it moved closer. Up in the control room, alarms beeped. Subject 17 is showing no signs of aggression. Why isn't it attacking? Zoom in on the human. What is she doing? The camera focused on Mira. She had extended her hand, palm open, not shaking. The snake's head was inches away. Then, it did something no one had ever seen before. It nuzzled her hand. One scientist jumped to his feet. "Is the venom sac removed?" "No, the creature is still armed." "Then why?" They had no answers. Back in the dungeon, Mira exhaled. The snake moved beside her, slowly circling her like a shield. Its giant body curled around her in a protective loop. Its head rested near her side. Warm. Breathing. Calm. She whispered, "I'm sorry for what they did to you." She placed her hand on its scale-covered neck. "I won't hurt you, I won't run, I'll stay." And the snake didn't hiss. It didn't strike. It simply closed its eyes, and for the first time in its life, it slept peacefully. The next morning, guards returned. They opened the viewing port and stopped, dead silent, because inside the dungeon of death, the human girl was sitting with the beast, laughing softly, playing with its tail like it was a pet. One guard whispered, "We threw her, to die." Another finished the sentence, voice trembling. But the monster chose her instead, and far above them, someone was already sending a message to the military labs. "We need to study this human immediately." The recording spread faster than light. On every screen inside the Zerkai fortress, one unbelievable image played again and again. A human girl, alive in the death dungeon. Not crying, not bleeding. Sitting beside a giant venomous serpent, stroking its head. The beast, once known only for killing, now acted calm, gentle, protective. In the high observation tower, alien scientists and nobles stared at the footage with disbelief. "She's not controlling it," one muttered. "She's not resisting it either," said another. An old commander growled, "What is this, a trick?" But no one had answers. The room fell silent when Overseer Caltrex, the fortress ruler, entered, tall, cold, covered in black armor. He watched the recording once, then again, then spoke. "Bring her out, but if the creature moves, kill it." Inside, the dungeon, Mira rested against the wall. The serpent, she now called Sarah, lay beside her, massive and quiet. Mira spoke softly. "They'll come soon, I know, but I won't leave without you." The snake's eye opened. It watched her. No one had ever spoken to it with kindness, or listened to its silence. But Mira did, and Sarah remembered. The gate above opened with a heavy clang. 10 guards dropped into the pit, their weapons buzzed with poisoned darts and stun rods. "Step away from the creature," one barked. Sarah hissed, rising to her full height. The guards flinched. Mira stood in front of Sarah, arms outstretched. "Don't! She's protecting me!" A scientist leaned down from the upper ledge. "We don't want to harm you, human. We only want to study." Mira stared up. "You want to tear us apart." The scientist replied coldly. "You are valuable now, and value must be understood." After minutes of tense standoff, Mira agreed, but only if Sarah could stay nearby. Reluctantly, they allowed it. In the sterile white lab, Mira sat under a scanner. The alien machines buzzed. Wires tracked her heartbeat, brainwaves, and neural patterns. Behind thick glass, dozens of scientists watched. Sarah lay curled outside the lab door, eyes open, always watching. One scientist named Dr. Vaxel stared at the screen, confused. "This shouldn't be possible," he said. "Her brainwaves are syncing with the serpents." Another asked, "Mind control?" "No," Vaxel replied. "Bonding, like two lost parts finding each other." Meanwhile, Mira watched the screen too. She saw her brain activity match Sarah's. "I'm not controlling her," she whispered. "She's listening." The machine beeped. The signal strengthened. Later, in a side room, Mira was given food. It was better than slave rations, but still tasteless. Dr. Vaxil approached her. "I've worked here for 12 years, he said softly. "I've seen monsters, weapons, mind-broken hybrids, but I've never seen this." Mira looked at him. "She wasn't a monster. Not until you made her one." He didn't reply, but for the first time he didn't look at her like a test subject. He looked at her like a mystery he respected. That night, Sarah was placed in a high-security cell. Mira was taken to a separate room with metal walls, but the moment she closed her eyes, she felt Sarah's fear, saw flashes of chains, cages, cold needles. She woke up screaming. "She's scared," Mira cried. "She's alone again." The guards ignored her, but one camera in the corner caught everything. Dr. Vaxil watched the footage. He saw the way Mira clutched her head, the way her vitals matched Sarah's panic. "It's not just emotional," he whispered. "They're connected, through something we don't understand." In the morning, Overseer Caltrex gave a cruel order. "Test the human again. Throw her into the pit, with a second beast. Let's see if her magic works on two." As Mira stood on the edge of the pit once more, her heart pounded. She looked down, and saw another serpent, larger and more violent than Sarah. Guards whispered, "This time she dies." But they didn't know. Sarah was watching, and no one takes what belongs to her. The guards led Mira back toward the pit, but this time they didn't push her in. They gave her a choice. "Step forward," one hissed. "Let's see if your little pet will protect you again." She looked down into the pit. It was deeper now. Sharper bones covered the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. There were two serpents now. Sarah, Her companion waited quietly at one end. But across the chamber, another serpent slithered in, thicker, scarred, and twice as aggressive. Its caught fangs dripped green venom. Its yellow eyes burned with rage. This one didn't hesitate. It charged. Mira jumped down. Sarah hissed, launching between her and the attacker. The two creatures crashed into each other with a loud boom. Guards gasped above. Protective behavior. Confirmed. She's not just bonded, she's part of a hierarchy. Mira didn't hear them. She ducked behind a rock as the snakes clashed. Their coils slammed into the walls. Teeth scraped scale. Fangs snapped in the air. But Sarah wasn't fighting to win. She was fighting to shield. Mira saw the difference. The new beast attacked wildly, mindless, angry. Sarah blocked, twisted, avoided. Every move was to protect Mira. But she was slowing down. Weaker than the new one. Mira had to do something. She stepped forward. "Stop," she shouted. "Stop fighting." The new serpent turned toward her, its forked tongue flicking, eyes glowing wild. It lunged. Mira stood still. She didn't run. She didn't scream, she whispered, "I see you." The serpent froze. Everyone above leaned forward. "What is she doing?" "She's unarmed." Mira stepped closer. "You're afraid," she said softly. "They hurt you, didn't they?" The beast snarled. "They made you angry, hungry, alone." The beast pulled back slightly. She kept talking. "But I'm not like them. I'm not here to hurt you." Sarah slowly slithered to Mira's side. Her body coiled gently around the girl's legs like a shield, but she didn't strike. The larger serpent stared at Mira, then lowered its head. Dead silence. Then above, panic. "Impossible." She calmed it. "She's bonded to both." "Overseer." Caltrex slammed his fist. "She's no longer an asset. She's a threat. Kill her now." The guards raised their guns. Inside the pit, Mira looked up and saw them. The barrels, the fear, the betrayal. "No," she whispered. "Not again." She closed her eyes. Sarah hissed. The new serpent growled. And together, they rose. Two beasts, of death side by side, fangs bared, eyes glowing, and they struck. The guards fell back, screaming. The serpents didn't climb, but their message was clear. Touch Mira, and you don't come back alive. Later, Mira sat between the two creatures, one on each side. She fed them small meat cubes. Her hands didn't shake. Dr. Vaxil approached the edge of the chamber. No guards, no weapons, just awe. "You did what we never could," he said. "I didn't tame them," Mira replied. "I listened." Vaxil knelt. "They'll never let you leave. You're too important now. You'll become a lab, a cage." Mira looked at him. "Then help me escape." That night, in the dark of the lower labs, Mira whispered to Sarah, "They used you to make fear, but I'll use you to find freedom." And from the shadows, Dr. Vaxil entered with stolen keycards. "You have one chance," he said. "Are you ready?" Mira stood between two monsters the world feared, and smiled. "Let's show them who the real monsters are." The alarm lights were off, the cameras were frozen, and the hallway was dark. Dr. Vaxil led Mira through the lower research wing, holding a stolen pass card in one hand and a datapad in the other. His hands shook. He had never broken rules before, but this girl, the one who bonded with death, was worth every risk. Behind them, Sarah slithered silently, her long body coiled low, glowing eyes scanning every corner. The second serpent followed too, moving like a shadow. Together they looked like a moving storm, and Mira walked between them like their queen. "This way," Vaxil whispered. "There's a side lab they don't know I use." They entered a cold white room full of dusty machines and old files. Vaxil sealed the door. Mira looked around. "What is this place?" He pulled up an old data file. "This is where the first serpent brain designs were recorded, before they turned them into monsters." He showed her holograms. Baby serpents, inside glass tanks. Tubes in their heads. Minds filled with commands. "They were created to obey," Vaxil said. "But yours broke the control." You did something no code ever could. Mira sat down. I didn't command her, I just treated her like a person. He nodded slowly. That's the part we missed. He turned to the scanner machine. I need to map your brain and hers, together. I think the bond is biological. Mira looked at Sarah. Will it hurt her? No, Vaxil said. But it might prove something big. She placed her hand on Sarah's smooth scales. The snake coiled gently around her, then she nodded. Do it. The scan began. Bright light passed over Mira's head. Tiny sparks lit up in her brain. Then Sarah's turn. The screen glitched once, then glowed green. Match found. Neural bridge active. Communication. Bidirectional. Vaxil gasped. She's not just feeling you, she's sending thoughts back. Mira stared at the screen. What kind of thoughts? Vaxil showed her a waveform. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Calm, warmth, loyalty. He whispered, She loves you. Suddenly, alarms returned. Red lights, buzzing doors. Someone had discovered the data breach. A voice screamed over the intercom. Lab 4 unauthorized, all. Units deploy. Vaxil grabbed the data chip. Go. Get to the lower hangar. I'll stall them. Mira's eyes widened. You'll be caught. He smiled. They'll ask questions before they shoot. That's all the time you need. Mira ran. Sarah. And the second serpent flanked her on both sides like guards, down the tunnels. Past fuel tanks, through an old cargo door. Everywhere they passed, soldiers stepped back in fear, because death was running free. They reached the lower hangar. A small scout ship sat in the middle, unarmed, old, but fast. Mira climbed in. Sarah followed, coiling. Inside the main cabin, her body folding into the corners like living armor. The second serpent looked up at her. She hesitated. I can't take both, she whispered. The serpent lowered its head, then slithered back into the shadows. It would guard the base from within, a silent message. You saved one of us. We will protect the others. Mira launched the ship. The hangar door opened. Stars poured in, and the girl once thrown to die flew into the galaxy, with a venomous guardian curled at her feet. Back in the lab, Vaxil was surrounded by guards. Overseer Caltrex appeared furious. What did she steal? Vaxil didn't blink. Freedom, he said, something you never understood. In the silence of space, Mira looked out at the stars. She touched Sarah's smooth head. They turned you into a monster. But with you, I'm finally free. Then she saw it on the screen. Bounty alert. Human girl with bioweapon companion. Dead or alive, she smiled. Let them come. The scout ship shook as it flew into the nebula storm. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. Wind howled through cracked vents. But Mira didn't panic. She sat in the pilot's chair, calm, focused. Her hands gripped the controls, and beside her, coiled tightly in the back of the small ship, Sarah watched her. Mira had been thrown into a dungeon. Now she flew into war with the deadliest creature in the sector. Behind them, 3 black warships chased through the clouds. Zerkai bounty cruisers, fast, armed, ordered to kill. Inside one of them, a voice hissed, Do not destroy the serpent. We want the human, alive if possible, dead if needed. Mira checked the radar. They're gaining, Sarah hissed, sensing danger. Mira opened a panel and stared at a set of broken missiles. Great. Weapons. Are dead. Shields are cracked. We're a flying trash can. But then, she paused and looked at Sarah. A wild idea lit up her eyes. You're more than a pet, aren't you? You're a weapon they couldn't control. She opened the emergency airlock panel. Sarah slithered beside her, tilting her head. Not out into space, Mira smiled. But close. She turned the ship hard left, toward a dense asteroid field. Laser blasts from the enemy ships missed by inches. Chunks of rock exploded. But Mira kept going, twisting between stones like she was dancing through chaos. Inside the lead bounty cruiser, a commander yelled, "She's trying to lose us in the rocks." But they didn't fall for it, they followed. Too close. Mira tapped the comm system, syncing it to the old ship's soundwave boosters. She turned to Sarah. "Can you hear them? Feel them?" The serpent curled around her shoulders. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Mira whispered, "Then speak to them." Sarah slithered into the narrow sound chamber, her long body pressed against the comm grid, and then she hissed. But not just a sound, a pulse. In the enemy ships, the pilots screamed, their vision blurred. Their ears rang. For 3 seconds, they felt what Sarah felt. Cages, needles, hunger, pain, hate. They saw Mira's face. They saw her kindness. And then the image shattered. 2 ships spun out of control and slammed into the asteroids. Only 1 ship remained. Mira flew upward through the storm. "Can't take the last one head on," she muttered. Suddenly, a voice crackled through the enemy radio. "Mira, this is Vaxil. I'm alive." She gasped. "How?" "They left me for dead, but I rerouted a signal to you. I can shut down their last ship, but I need your permission." Mira frowned. "Permission?" "I installed a failsafe in their system. It's hidden inside your Serpent." She looked at Sarah, then said firmly, "No." Vaxil paused. "Why?" "She's not a weapon," Mira said. "She's a friend." "Then what will you do?" Mira looked at the last ship chasing her, locked onto her tail. She smiled. "I'll fly smarter." She turned hard, diving down toward a red gas planet. The enemy followed, but Mira dipped into the storm edge, used gravity to slingshot back and tricked the cruiser into overshooting her path. The bounty ship flew straight into the gravity well, trapped, crushed, gone. Silence returned. Mira slumped in the pilot's seat, shaking. They were safe. Sarah crawled forward and gently rested her massive head on Mira's shoulder. Mira leaned into her. "You saved me again," she whispered. Later they landed on a quiet green moon. No cities, no weapons, just peace. Sarah curled around a warm pool and slept. Mira stood outside the ship, looking up at the stars. She opened her comm device and recorded a message. "To anyone listening, they tried to turn us into monsters, but we chose something else. We chose each other." On a distant world, an old scientist watched the broadcast. He turned to the council chamber behind him. "She escaped," he said, "with the most powerful living weapon we ever made." The council asked, "Should we send more ships?" He shook his head slowly. "No, because now the galaxy is watching and she's no longer just a girl. She's a symbol." The green moon had no name, no cities, no signs of war, no sky traffic. Just wild grass, glowing trees, and quiet winds. Mira had never known such peace. She sat outside her small ship, her feet in the cool grass. The light from twin suns bathed her face in gold. Beside her, Sarah rested peacefully. Coiled in a soft spiral, the great serpent breathed slowly, her black and silver scales shimmering under the light. It had been days since the last attack. No bounty hunters, no warships, no cameras watching. But Mira knew. It wouldn't last. Someone, somewhere, was still looking. Still hunting. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small photo. Old, folded. It showed a young girl, Mira, from Earth, standing with her mother near a refugee tent. She whispered, "You always told me kindness was strength." She looked at Sarah. "Now I know what you meant." Later that evening, Mira explored the forest. She gathered small fruit from the glowing trees, studied animal tracks, and marked safe paths. She found a quiet cave near a warm spring. Perfect shelter. When she returned, Sarah was gone. Panic flashed through Mira. "Sarah?" No answer. She ran to the nearby hill and stopped. Sarah was there. curled protectively around a group of small moon beasts, furred, shy creatures that trembled. In fear, a predator had attacked their den, and Sarah had saved them. Mira's eyes softened. The galaxy saw this creature as a weapon. But here she was, protecting the weak. Mira sat beside her and whispered, "You're not just my guardian. You're everyone's." That night, Mira sent out another message. Short, clear, honest. "I am not hiding. I am living, and I'm not alone." She attached footage. Sarah curled around the moon beasts, Mira sharing food, the peaceful camp they'd built. She ended the broadcast with her face, calm, serious. "If you come to kill us, we will not fight. We will show you what kindness creates, but we will not run again." The message went viral. Across star systems, people watched, on space stations, in underground rebel dens, in alien slums, even in noble halls. They saw a girl who had no armor standing beside a monster that no longer killed, and something changed. People started to ask, what if she's not dangerous? What if she's right? Back on the green moon, Mira sat by the fire. Sarah lay nearby, her giant head resting on a smooth stone. Mira reached out, placed her hand on Sarah's head. "Do you remember the first time we met?" she asked. Sarah made a soft, chuffing sound. "You didn't strike. You didn't hiss, you just watched me." Mira smiled. "I think you knew. That we were the same." Suddenly her comlink buzzed. She checked the screen. Dr. Vaxil alive. On the run. Signal weak. "Mira, listen, the Council. They're not just afraid of you. They're afraid of what's spreading. Others are starting to bond. With creatures. Some not even serpents. It's like, you've awakened something." Mira's heart raced. "You mean more like Sarah?" "Yes, and they want to shut it down. Fast." She nodded. "Send them here." "All of them." "You sure?" Mira looked at the stars. "I started this with nothing. Now I have purpose." She turned to Sarah, who raised her head at the sound of her voice. "We're not the end of the story," Mira said. "We're the beginning." On 10 different planets, hidden children began reaching out to wild beasts. On a desert world, a girl touched a fire dragon and smiled. On a frozen moon, a boy calmed a tusked beast with his song. And far above them all, the Council watched in fear. It's spreading, because one human girl had shown the galaxy that monsters only needed someone to believe in them. The wind rolled softly over the green moon. Mira stood at the edge of a cliff looking down at the valley below. The trees sparkled with bioluminescent light. Small creatures played in the grasses. Stars blinked above like eyes watching from ancient heavens. Behind her, Sarah, the great serpent, lay coiled around a ring of resting animals. She was no longer just a beast of death. She was a protector, a guardian, and today, a messenger. Mira adjusted the comm badge on her wrist. The signal had grown stronger. Across dozens of systems, her last message had awakened something unexpected. Reports were flooding in. Other children, other humans, even some aliens, bonding with creatures once thought untamable. A boy on a mining colony had calmed a feral skywolf. A refugee girl healed a wild crawler with just a touch. And on Mira's screen, a new alert appeared. "You are now being summoned to the Galactic Peace Summit." Jason would have laughed. He used to say the galaxy only listened to money and guns. But Mira had found something older, deeper, something neither money nor war could erase. Connection. The next morning, the sky above the moon cracked with light. Silver ship descended carrying scientists, observers, and peacekeepers. Mira stepped forward to greet them, not in fear, but in purpose. Sarah slithered behind her, large and silent. The landing crew stepped back at the sight of the giant snake. One woman, wearing a peace badge, cleared her throat. "Is it safe?" Mira smiled. "Only if you are." They boarded the ship and left the moon. Sarah stayed near Mira's feet, her coils wrapped gently under the floor panels. The peace officers gave them a wide path, but none dared attack, because now everyone knew. This wasn't a weapon, this was the beginning of something new. 2 days later, the summit, the Galactic Peace Summit, was held in a sky station above the neutral world of Selvaris. Thousands gathered, senators, generals, kings, doctors, journalists, and in the middle of the giant round hall stood a small platform where Mira was asked to speak. She walked to the center in silence. Sarah followed. Slowly, powerfully. Gasps echoed. Some screamed. Some reached for weapons but were stopped by guards. One alien counselor whispered, "We're letting that thing walk into this chamber?" Another replied, "She is the only one who can." Mira stood before the galaxy's leaders, alone. No armor, no weapon, just her words. "I was thrown into a pit to die," she began. "Not because I was dangerous, but because I was unwanted. The monster they hoped would kill me didn't. Because monsters aren't born, they're made." She placed a hand on Sarah's head. "You tried to make her into a weapon, but I saw her pain, I saw her soul, and she saw mine." Holograms appeared behind her, images of children bonding with creatures across the stars. Girls petting death beasts, boys riding once feral creatures through forests, even alien children, smiling with wild things beside them. Mira turned to the crowd. "You can't stop what's coming. Because this isn't a rebellion, it's a return to something the galaxy forgot long ago. Trust, empathy, instinct, not control, not fear." The room fell silent. Then, from the upper seats, a voice shouted, "What if they turn on us, these creatures, your pets? What if they revolt?" Mira looked up, eyes steady, heart calm. They won't need to, because when people are loved, they don't want to destroy. After her speech, the hall didn't erupt in applause. It stood in silence, a heavy, thoughtful silence. And then, one by one, people began to rise, not in protest, but in respect. Later, Mira walked through the quiet halls of the station. Children ran to her. Reporters begged for interviews. Some leaders tried to offer her positions of power. She said no to all of it. Power wasn't the point. Freedom was. 1 year later, the Valley of Beasts on. A fertile moon, a sanctuary had formed. A new colony, not of cities or ships, but of people and creatures living together. They called it the Valley of Beasts. It had no walls, no gates, just trust. And in the center lived Mira and Sarah, in a small home surrounded by trees and gentle waters. That day, Mira sat under a glowing tree, watching her son crawl in the grass. His name was Kael. He had Sarah's eyes, deep, golden, old, and her calm. He also had Mira's smile. When he reached for a small wild creature, it didn't run, it curled up beside him and slept, just like Sarah did that first night in the dungeon. Jason's photo sat on a nearby stone. He was gone now, lost in a mission before Mira ever escaped the labs, but she kept him with her, and she always told Kael, "Your father taught me how to survive, and Sarah taught me how to heal." Final scene. A message to the stars. Mira stood before a recording beacon. One last message. This will be my final broadcast. Not because I'm hiding, but because the message no longer needs me. It lives now, in others, in you, in every child who looks at a creature and doesn't see danger but sees a friend. She looked down at her son. He was laughing with a shadow cat, tugging playfully at its ears. Sarah lay nearby, eyes half closed, guarding them both. I was thrown into a pit with a monster, but I found something beautiful there, and it changed everything. I was the child of the dungeon, and I became the mother of a better world.